and welcome back to the What Am I Even Doing podcast. Today is episode 3 of our Pride series, I believe, and I think I've been hyping up this episode a little bit too much, but also like maybe not because I'm really excited about it. Oh, my name's Kenz. I'm your host as always. I forgot to say that just now. So yeah, this episode I'm really excited about, and I think that we just kind of need to jump into it because there's a lot to cover today. So, one, let's start with my weekly recap situation. One, I still have this cough, so again, I'll be editing around that, and also me drinking water. Not just any water. I'm drinking lemon water because it's summertime, and that's all I drink in the summertime. Not all I drink, but mostly. This week. You guys, it's been pretty much uneventful. I mean, I say uneventful, but like my financial life is like doing some weird shit right now. For those of you that know me, know that I'm an esthetician. For those of you that don't, hi, I'm an esthetician and I do lashes for a living, lash extensions. So I'm currently in the process of moving salons, and that's been a really interesting journey so far. An expensive one, but interesting nonetheless. Okay. Let's see, what else? Really, you guys, nothing has really happened. I have been really caught off guard by how many of you are loving my last episode, my coming out story. I am wondering, and I say that, but it's just the YouTube views, really. I'm wondering if it's mostly because it's because it's Pride Month, and I think maybe people are like looking into that a little bit more. There's a lot on there, like a lot more than what I'm used to. So that's pretty cool, and I'm gaining some subscribers. So hi to everybody that's new. Again, my name is Kenzie. We are here every week on Thursday, and this month just happens to be a little bit more special to me, I guess. At least the topics are. So anyways, so this week we are going to be going over some of my bisexual slash pansexual, not slash, my bisexual and pansexual friends' experiences within the queer community. And not just any bisexual and pansexual friends, they are all in hetero presenting relationships. Or straight presenting, or however you want to say it. I think I say straight presenting, but I don't actually know that that is correct. So, there's that. But I had them all send me some videos, so let me introduce you to my friends you'll see up here.
Hi, my name is Karsen Desjardins.
Well, hi. I'm Kat.
Hi, I am Sahalie. I'm Kenzie's sister.
My pronouns are she, her, and my sexual orientation is pansexual and polyamorous by orientation.
And my pronouns are she, her, and my sexual orientation is bisexual at the moment.
She, her, they. I identify with liking the wine, not the bottle.
And then I have one that was unable to send in any sort of video, just like technical difficulties or whatever. So I'm going to be reading her answers as we go. So those are my friends. And then the one missing is Krista. She's 26 years old. She identifies as a bisexual woman with the pronouns she, her. So I asked these friends some questions. I will read them out loud. The first one, obviously, introduce yourself. We've done that. Cool. So I asked them, tell us your queer journey. So in regards to coming out, what that journey has looked like and how it's kind of unfolded for them as a whole. Krista says, I came out in 7th grade because a friend of mine who was a year ahead of me told me she was bisexual and had to explain it to me. She said, when I was growing up, I was sort of raised to believe that there was gay and there was straight and there wasn't really anything else out there. So all of a sudden I was being explained to that there was a third door, so to speak, that it wasn't weird that I felt attracted to men and women in the same way. I very readily came out to my mom and to my friends at that time, excited that I had discovered the world for this piece of myself, you know. for this piece of myself. My mom was very dismissive, basically played the 20 questions with me, thinking I didn't know what the word meant or didn't know what I was talking about, or that it was some crazy fad. And she promptly called her side of the family that night and made a huge joke out of it. Then word got out. Then word got out at my middle school, and I ended up getting relentlessly bullied in health class for it in front of the teacher. And no matter what authority figure I talked to about it, all of them told me the same thing: ignore them, it's not that bad, you should have known better. Now I'm 26, I'm engaged to a man that I've loved for years, Awesome. I really, gosh, and I will share my thoughts on these things, but I really want this to be a platform for these friends of mine that I love so dearly to kind of be able to get out what they've been like forced to hold back because nobody will listen. So here we go. This is the coming out experience for my other three.
My queer journey. Okay. I definitely knew that I was queer young, but I didn't come out until I went to college because I grew up in a small town. It was very conservative, and stereotypically, my family was Christian and all that jazz. It just didn't seem like a welcoming environment to do so. So I went to college in LA. And then it was like freedom. And yeah, I would say like I just started being more myself. Coming out as pansexual was well, at least in my like immediate environment, pretty easy. I do remember I was living with my girlfriend, who later became my wife, for like 2 years before I came out to my mother, and she cried. And that has been its own journey with my family. And then coming out as polyamorous was actually significantly harder. That was much later. And I was in a monogamous marriage at the time. And we tried to make it work for a long time. But that was really hard. And even outside of that relationship, though, like I have received a very large amount of discrimination for being poly. Basically everyone, thinks that you're just like a cheating slut, because you're capable of loving more than one person at the same time. And I'm just gonna say that sucks, because being able to be out pan and poly has been exciting and liberating and has made me happy. And I am grateful to be myself in public.
So, like, coming out, like, I don't think I ever really did. Like, honestly, I think the closest I kind of got was, when people would ask, I would just tell them, like, oh, like, are you, one way or the other, who do you like, what do you like, and I like people, I hate people, and I love people. That's what I would tell them. So, that was kind of that. Anybody that I feel like at this point in my life that I would have had to like come out to isn't in my life. So it's not really like a problem there. Anybody that is in my life I don't think is really concerned about that.
Well, coming out to most of my family it wasn't much. I think they already all knew and things. I just said, hey, I like girls. And
My baby sister. She's so
so
cute.
does everybody. So, and then I told my mom, I said, Mom, I like girls. And she said, no, you can't have your cake and eat it too. She always said that.
I love my little baby. So I just think that it's really cool that there is the openness around not having to come out. What I don't think is cool is all of the parents of these lovely people that I love discounting um their experience and their identification and who they are. I just feel like it's so like genuinely upsetting. Um and it's I don't know. It's that's like to have people cry or people say that that's just incorrect or joke about it or you're like or question you when you just so clearly know like what's going on in your own brain and your own life is just like really so disrespectful to me, and that's coming from people's families. Anyways, next question that I asked was how long have you and your partner been together?
We say 2 going on 11. We have been friends for over a decade, but we've been dating for about 2.5.
I have been in my relationship for a few months over 4 years.
I think almost 3 years. I'm not very good at math, so he would know. I think almost 3 years in November 20 something.
And then Krista says here, da, 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 I've loved for years, and this year will be their 7th or 8th year together. And then when we first started dating, there were a lot of things that we didn't talk about simply because I was under the impression that he was completely straight. We'll get into that. Actually, we'll get into that next. How does your partner identify? I did throw in there if they're comfortable answering. I don't want to push anybody to like come out on camera or something crazy. So, moving on into that, Krista said, she was under the impression that he was completely straight and he had never told me otherwise. He came out to me a couple of years into their relationship as bisexual, and to be honest, it really restored my comfortability in talking about the queer parts of myself again. That's beautiful. Beautiful.
My partner typically answers this question by saying, "Don't worry about it."
Okay.
My partner is a straight male.
He's straight at the moment, and his pronouns are he, him. He's just a cis het man.
I love that she says at the moment. She even said bisexual at the moment. There's always room for growth and there's always room for change, and that's why all of this is so cool to me. Like it's so fluid. Sexuality is a spectrum, gender identification is a spectrum. It's all so much of a spectrum that I think people need to stop putting so much pressure on the label. And that's really what this whole it's really what this whole episode is about, like the pressure on the label, and simply because you don't identify with one end of a spectrum or another end of a spectrum does not mean that you're not valid, and that's really what we're determining here. Let's see. The next question I said was, do you remember a significant time when you were treated differently because of being in a hetero presenting relationship by family, friends, or other queer people?
Yes, I do feel like I'm treated differently because I'm in a hetero presenting relationship. Um, both by straight couples and by queer couples, or queer people and straight people. Straight people tend to think that there's, not much more going on there. Um, and and queer people tend to think I'm apparently not a part of the club anymore. Um, I've been called a has-been plenty of times. Um, and let's just say that doesn't feel good. Um, but, the nature of pansexuality is I like it all.
I've had people question, my preferences and alities because I've been with, men. And that's always kind of an interesting topic because I personally have felt more pushback from the queer community than the straight community, for the sheer fact that, which I totally get, that, a lot of queer people aren't able to, like, be ourselves at all. And, you know, how unfair is it of me to try to present or be able to identify as queer of some sort, but be in a straight presenting relationship? Um, and to that, all I have to say is, I like the wine. It's been really interesting, and kind of the whole idea of like I'm less than perhaps like a gold star one way or the other. And like I don't think that, but I have had kind of that framed to me, and that was really uncomfortable. By whether it was friends, people on the internet, or just like people that I met, like acquaintances. Um, yeah, so that was interesting.
Actually, I made a video to this before. In that video, I said I didn't really feel like that. But right after I made that video, one of my cousins said something weird to me about how I'm just straight. They know that I'm actually just straight. So I thought they viewed me as someone who liked women, but I think that they just think I'm a cool straight girl. Yeah, I've only dated straight men, but they know I've had crushes on girls, especially that cousin. She may watch this.
She might be watching this, she said. Let me just get into Krista's really quick, and then I will give my thoughts on this. Because of being with a man after years of only dating women and my family often assuming that I was a lesbian, I did unfortunately get some rude comments from some family along the lines of, oh, so you made up your mind, so you got tired of crazy women, and you chose a side, good for you. I even had an older cousin who I was close with for a long time say, so you finally learned to like dick. It's incredibly disheartening to have to keep explaining to people that I didn't change when I changed partners. I didn't go from gay to straight. I've always been a third door. I love that. A third door. And now there's so many more than just 3 doors, which is even cooler if you ask me. There's so many options anymore. And like I said, it's so fluid, and it's really, gosh, I really love our community, you guys. I really love our community, except for sometimes I will say, and I feel like I can say this as a lesbian, sometimes there are some gatekeepy people. I'll get into that at the end with some final thoughts on the subject and really the reason why I'm doing this in the first place. I think that I should touch on the fact that every single one of my friends in this video or in this episode has been disrespected by not only members of their family, their friend groups, but members of a community that's supposed to be accepting no matter what, based off of the fact that they are bisexual, pansexual, and in a hetero relationship. It's just not, it's not right. And personally, if you're gonna say shit like how Krista said, like, oh, you finally learned how to like dick, you are homophobic. I'm sorry, that's just the way that it is. If that's truly how you feel, then you are homophobic, hands down, 100%. I will not change my mind. And we don't need you in here anyways. Unfortunately, it sucks that that's a part of her family. And so I feel heavily for her. And honestly, I don't know. Everything is, we should all just be loving each other. Like, I'm so confused. It's, in going through the footage that I had from all of these people, it's just really disheartening to know that that's something that they're dealing with in this community. And I want to be the one to change it, but I can't. I can't change everybody. All I can do is spread word in the only way that I know how. So, moving on, have you dated straight people? And if so, how does that differ from dating queer people in your experience?
Yes, I've dated plenty of straight people, and I would say it's a different experience. I think that that individuals who have at least like the most minuscule queer leanings have a lot more understanding for me in my experience and compassion, and I need that. And Also, it doesn't feel educational. I feel like a lot of the time when I've dated straight people in the past, it's been a lot of question answering, and I don't enjoy that in a partner.
As far as I know, I've only ever dated one queer person. It was not long lived. I'm not going to use that as a basis for any other queer relationships. Very nice person. It just didn't work out, you know? The other relationships I've had have been with straight men, and some straight men are really cool and some straight men are not.
I wouldn't know any difference, but I've dated only straight men, and that isn't the best time. I think we would all agree on that. I've never had somebody feel threatened, really, except for my current boyfriend, because he knows that I would never date another man.
Mhm.
So, but no, not really threatened. Definitely over sexualized, and half the time they didn't believe me because like I said, I've never dated women, and I would say that, and they say, "Well, how do you know? How do you know? You've never even kissed a girl," because I was young.
Dude, that whole thing about like, oh, how would you know? How would you know? How the hell would you know that you're straight if you've never kissed somebody of the same sex? Like, I'm so confused. My God. That shit actually like ruffles my feathers, my guy. Holy shit. Anyways, and of course it's my baby sister, so I'm like, ugh, the claws come out, right? I just wanted to share this, what Krista said. She didn't say whether or not she has dated straight people, or not. And I think at this point, I'm not going to answer for her. So I just wanted to throw in something else that she did say. Now, at this point in my life, I have no choice but to often face the flamboyant parts of myself in my son, who is often assumed accusingly of his sexuality at barely 5 years old because he likes pink and rainbows and baby dolls along with his boy stuff. We have to defend him so often from his own family that I have to basically use my queer pride as a barbed wire fence to protect my child, even when I am in a straight presenting relationship. So, regardless, she has to push that forward. This is the thing. Why are we assuming the sexual orientation of a 5-year-old ever? Like I've said about 400 times in this episode, it's so fluid and can change at any moment. And my sister has said in all of the videos that she gave me, everything that she said so far, like you guys have heard, she says as of right now or at the moment, because those things can change so often. And it's just like, let me tell you, this little boy calls me auntie, and he is just one of those. He's my nephew, and I stand on, I would stand against anybody for him. And maybe that's why this like irks me so bad. But truly, it just is disgusting behavior for adults to act like because he wants to play with this kind of toy that's branded for girls, it means that he should have his sexuality assumed. That just doesn't make any fucking sense. Let a child be a child, and at some point, they will tell you or they won't, and you have to live with that. Anyways, that shit pisses me off. It just doesn't make any sense. No. God. Moving on. Let's take a deep breath for a moment. Blow it out of the room because I'm so fucking irritated by ignorant ass people. Sorry. Let's move on. What are your ways of continuing to stay in touch with your queerness despite what others say or believe about you or your relationship?
Making queer friends.
It's a big one, you guys.
For the longest time, didn't have any queer friends, and I joined burlesque for that express purpose. I was like so like starved for queer company that I would like go into a Starbucks and, you know, like if somebody was like immediately like, you know, like queer baiting, you know, they have like half a shaved head and the rest of it is blue and they have one earring and 75 rings, I would be like, oh my gosh, can I get your Instagram? You know, which is like, it's both so embarrassing and also I think understandable because it is a farming community out here. And there's just not a lot of queer people to go around, it feels like. You have to, you know, kind of know where to look. And anyway, that helps me keep in touch with myself and also makes me feel less lonely to be around other people who, you know, truly understand my experiences, like existing in the world.
Staying in touch is interesting. I definitely have my days where I'm more, you know, I want to feel more pretty. Today was like a pretty glam day. And there's days where I want to feel more, you know, rather like masculine and powerful. And
She's so cute.
you know, for me, I just, you know, it's interesting more. It's harder some days than others, but for the most part, now I'm in a relationship and a place in my life where I'm able to dress and do my hair and makeup and whatever, however I want, and people are gonna welcome it with much more open arms than I had for a long time.
Well, I'm pretty confident and I know who I am and I don't really care what other people say. I know I like women. But all my friends are queer and gay and we are pretty much, we talk about it a lot.
We talk about it a lot. I will say that side of my family, there's lots of gay happening. Just so everybody's aware, so much gay is happening on that side of my family. So there's a lot of conversation around it, and there's a lot of representation over there. So that's really cool. Krista says, outside of the barbed wire fence to protect her child, she says, the softer parts of my queer identity are held close to me in smaller ways, usually like dressing up for the female gaze, as I like to say, or for days when I need a little rough and tough, I dress for a more, she dresses like more masculine. These small things give me my power back the same way that taking my son to pride events gives me my power back. Moral of the story, support your kids. Always. Those are her final thoughts. Moral of the story, support your damn ass kids. Okay, you guys? Support your kids. There should be no question about that. End of story. Let's get into the last question here is simply any final thoughts from my friends. And it looks like Karsen and Kat both have a couple of things for you guys.
I think overall, I would just say that there are a lot of misconceptions about people in a hetero presenting relationship, and I think in general, I wish people would make less assumptions. Just get to know me as a person, and you know, then you'll learn something about me as opposed to assuming I'm automatically on your side, right wingers, or you know, that I am not a part of the club, queer people. And yeah, also I'd say like when queer people alienate those of us in hetero presenting relationships, it's really alienating and damaging. And the last thing we need is judgment from the people in our own community.
Just remember that you're enough, and if you know you have stuff that you need to work on, you can do that. Like you can work on things and be the best you can be and want to be. All the love, all the good, healthy, comforting vibes. I hope everybody can be themselves one day and not have to worry about it, you know? We need to be the wind at each other's back, not the spit in each other's faces. I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful Pride Month. I hope everybody stays as safe as you can. Have fun, stay hydrated, use protection, use test strips, free Palestine. Yeah. Free any enslaved, oppressed people, you know? It's pretty fucked up. Including the gays.
All right, like I said, it's getting a little bit dark, so the lighting has changed. And I'm sorry, I tried to keep the yellow light away for the remainder of the episode, but if it bothers you, then switch to audio right now. So those are the final thoughts of my dear, lovely, fantastic, amazing friends. Final thoughts for me. Like, I just don't. I've never dated anybody who has not been fluid in some way, with their sexuality and their gender and all of that. So I personally think, coming from somebody who is a lesbian, I see so much shit given to these people because of pure, utter insecurity. And this is not just the lesbian community, but I will not speak on anything else that I have not experienced. Okay? What I have experienced in the lesbian community is a gatekeepy thing. I will not date a bisexual because they're going to cheat on me with a man. What if they cheat on you with a woman? It could happen both ways, one. And two, the fact that you're insecure should have nothing to do with that other person. If you live your life in this insecure space, which if you do, I'm sorry that you do that. I'm sorry that that's how you've lived your life. I'm sorry that something happened to you that made you think that that an entire community of people is ruled out for you. Like, our community is already so small as is. I feel like it's so extremely important for us to band together. And so to have shit like that, like petty shit like that, like pull us apart. Okay, your type is not somebody who's bisexual, but don't blame it on the fact that you're afraid you're going to get cheated on. That's your fault, not theirs. And also, if you just aren't into it, you aren't into it, but don't discount them as a member of the community. Like, the LGB is there for a reason. The plus is there for a reason, you guys. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? If you are somebody who does this, and I don't think you need to be like listening to my podcast, and I have no problem saying that at all. And maybe you need to like seek out therapy, because for my best friend to say that she's been called a has-been, and if anybody's wondering what that means, it's a former lesbian who is now in a heterosexual relationship. That she was married to a woman for a very long time as a pansexual woman herself. Just because she's in a hetero relationship now does not change that. Does not change her sexual orientation or how she identifies. She will still look at women and still feel the same way that a lesbian feels about a woman. But she will also feel that way about men and anybody in between. And like Kat said, she likes the wine. She's here for the wine, not for the bottle. Okay? Like, that's the best thing that I could ever say. And I think that it's going to be the title of this episode, for the wine and not the bottle. My gosh. Anyways, long story short, protect your fucking children, because people are crazy and they want to assume their sexuality at 5 years old. Two, if you have children, understand that they may or may not be gay in some sort of way. They may or may not be a part of the LGBTQ plus community. They may or may not struggle with gender identity. They may or may not have all of these things happen to them in their lives. Just like they may or may not stub their fucking toe on the corner of your wall. So love them no less than you would if they stub their toe on the corner of the wall, if they come out. And also coming out, like, it's important, but it's also sometimes it's like overrated. Like, you just love who you love, and if you start bringing home, if you're my child, you start bringing home women, like say you are my son and you identify with he him pronouns, and you start bringing home men, then okay, you start bringing home men. I'm not going to ask questions. All I care about is that you're a happy, healthy individual, and good for you. You're in love also. That's fantastic. I'm going to hype that shit up, and I'm going to take your pictures and be an embarrassing mom, just like I would if you brought home a girl. Like, that's how it should always be. There should be no judgment. Anybody within the religious community that is listening to this podcast, I know a lot of people within the Christian religion specifically, who have never treated me any different, who have gay friends. One of them is marrying into my family, and her family is absolutely, without a doubt, hands down, some of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire fucking life, and they've never once treated me any different. Never one time have they ever made me feel alienated because of my sexuality. So take that as you will, or don't, whatever. But like, moving forward, you guys, like, it's important to lift each other up. There's no reason to alienate people. There's no reason to put this whole, like, make up your mind stigma. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, all of this. You can't. No. And trust me, if I have a piece of cake, I'm eating it also. I'm just gonna look at it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyways, I think that's all that I have to add. If you guys have anything to add to the conversation, I would love, love, love to see it in a review or a comment on the YouTube version. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell button so you know when I post. I don't think I've ever said that to you guys before, but if you're on the YouTube video version, click that bell button so you know when I post. And also, subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week for our final episode in our Pride series. Again, my name is Kenzie, and I will see you next time. Love ya. Bye.